Game of Thrones Beyond the Wall. This is a free-to-play game based on the HBO take on Game of Thrones. The show takes place 48 years prior to the first season of the show. It's set within the TV universe, but it's not necessarily a canon, but it plays alongside with the canon. So we have a narrative-driven story we can play. You unlock challenges that you can go through. And it also has the wayward forays, which are sort of challenge dungeons, as to say. So there are also legendary events, because you're kind of wondering, oh, it takes place way before the show. What's with Jon Snow? Anyways, so you can take these ventures through time and unlock special characters to use if you're able to win. So in the game, you can also enhance your troops and your characters. This is a turn-based game and experience, so you kind of level up your characters, your units, you get new units. They have different abilities and stuff like that. You need points in order to get them. You can also do hero leveling up, and it does have some interesting dynamics to the experience. So we're going to jump into the actual game, and we're going to talk about it a bit more. So I have a lot of context here because I was actually able to get in a session with the developers in order to talk about the game further and get a lot of context and full details here. So we got hero characters. There's multiple game modes. Obviously, we mentioned different characters have their own abilities. We've got these narrative sequences that kind of tell a unique, brand new story. There are challenges which are kind of puzzle-like. We got the story mode in conjunction with HBO within the show. And again, not necessarily canon, but it is something that highlights that. And it allows HBO to kind of do, stuff if they want to do beforehand, and this won't affect it. But it does, lend itself to that specific universe. So upgrading loot, recruiting new characters. You get so many iconic characters. So far, they've got plans for, say, they have Jon Snow, Tormund and Daenerys, Melisandre, and Jaime currently. That's what it was mentioned. So you do the Power of Green Sight with the Brawn and the Three-Eye Raven kind of concept and setup in order to go back and do this and channel the energy for the line. So I think that's a cool aspect that allows you to get some of these more iconic characters. So we're going to skip ahead from the story. Just want to give you a bit of what the cutscenes look like. So in the game, obviously we have a turn-based setup, and there are a couple different modes. So we could just do auto here, but I quickly want to show off kind of what the gameplay is like. So you pick your characters, and then you get like the square design, and it's very much your typical sort of turn-based game. They do have a variety of environments and setups, and then you can do different abilities with your characters. But we're going to put it on auto, and you're just going to kind of watch it kind of go along as I talk a little bit more of the game. So you're looking for the Blood Raven who disappeared beyond the wall. So if you're familiar with, the show and everything, you might have heard of some of the lore and aspects of what this is covering. So this is a journey to find out what happened to him, give you more context, and kind of develop, the aspects of what happened before a little bit more for the overall universe that HBO has presented here for Game of Thrones. So there's wildlings and brand new characters and everything like that created just for the game. So you grow Castle Black, you unlock new buildings, better equipment, new characters, and all sorts of things like that. You can also send out the Wandering Crows to some of the iconic places in order to do supplies and everything like that. You'll want to buff your units, upgrade them and everything as you progress. There are missions and kind of goals within the actual levels that you're playing. So it actually has some interesting elements to it. So there's 6 chapters currently, 10 battles each. You get 10 minutes per fight roughly, so you get a number of hours of gameplay. And this is just for the narrative aspect of it. You can obviously go a lot further with the dungeons and everything like that. And then we unlock challenges, so we could do that. But we're going to keep kind of showing off the gameplay. And again, you could very much play this by yourself if you wanted, or you could just have it going by itself here with the auto battles. I just find it easier while I'm doing this specific review. But when I typically play this type of game, I actually like to play because I feel like it's weird when a game plays itself. It's like, what's the point? You get the gist of what I mean. But I think we actually have some pretty good visual elements to the game. I think it does look aesthetically pleasing. It's got some good character designs, neat environments to go through. It's kind of interesting. So there is post-launch content planned, a long roadmap, and this is purely designed obviously for the mobile market, because I did inquire about whether or not we would be seeing this on maybe consoles or something someday. But yeah, this is for mobile. There is a progression platform, so it's standalone. Pre-registration campaign kind of gives you a bunch of stuff, and yeah, there should be a lot of aspects to this that are kind of unique for those that are fans of the show. It looks like our characters are kind of dying, so we can kind of get that going a little bit faster with the auto there, and we'll just see if our guy is able to actually bring home glory or not. But yeah, it's kind of a cool game. I like it in the sense that it is something a little bit casual and easygoing, and it builds on the Game of Thrones universe. It's not necessarily a genre that I personally are really into, because I don't really care too much for turn-based titles, but I do think they have some interesting powers and abilities here, and just some interesting concept in regards to the gameplay. So there's the expeditions, and then there's the foray. So we'll give that an attempt in a sec, but I want to show off a little bit more of the castle and aspects like this. So you also get daily quests and achievements, so it's constantly giving you things. You're probably kind of used to that when you play these mobile titles when it comes to those free-to-play aspects. I don't really find that it's been too limiting from what I've played of it, and from what I've talked to the developers about when it comes to the actual gameplay mechanics. I do think it's interesting that it offers some extra packs, so you can get certain characters and stuff right away. We will show off the shop, though, so you can kind of get an idea of kind of the costs. We see the items, the merchants, and everything like that we can get special items for. And I think we can, there's the hearth, and you can see our hero roster here, and we can level them up. So they got a little bit of a different thing. So you will see the same hero, but with multiple different costume options that you can work towards, because this is like, we have the young Jon Snow, but you can actually kind of level up, and later on you can get like some of the more intense older versions of Jon Snow, which is like a little bit more wiser, as to say, just because I thought it was interesting to mention that aspect, that you can get the same character kind of multiple times, as to say, but you get different levels and different abilities. So the one younger Jon Snow, he's like more somebody that will go on the attack, whereas the older one is more of like a strategic character, which I think is an interesting aspect to play with, especially when you are going to battle. So we're leveling up our characters here to a degree, you've seen that, and then you can improve the abilities too. You get them to like a silver tier. So they do have interesting aspects to it, and it all seems to run quite well. We're on iPhone XS for context, in case you were curious about that. And the codex, so that kind of gives you a little bit of the lore, and then we've got challenges. But I think we do want to actually go out and battle in the thing. So I do like that there's this kind of sense that you're in the actual castle, and I think they kind of presented the castle quite well. So you can see the runs we're doing. There's all the different areas of the riverlands and everything like that, and you can send your characters, and it takes so much time, and then you get stuff back. So that's kind of cool. And then you get the rewards, stuff like this. You claim all, you get bonuses. It's kind of nice. You kind of skip out of that, and then you could use your iron in order to get more. Keep in mind that we are pre-launch 2 for the game when I'm playing this, and when I've been able to check it out. So I thought that was kind of something worth mentioning, as certain elements like store-wise and everything like that might change a little bit. So you can see some of the heroes here from the drops. Rewards drops. We can do 10 draws, we can do 1 draw. We got all the irons there. But we'll go and we'll do the foray here and enter into the battle. So we can show off this style of the mode and give you a little bit more context. So here's the mystery we're doing. So we'll claim the campfire. Cool. Got the rewards. And then we can do a challenge where we might actually have a lot of difficulty, but we'll see, whether we can actually handle the battle or not. And you can actually place your troops down and get ready to start the battle. So placement actually will kind of matter, especially if you got like arrow guys, so I probably shouldn't have put the arrow people on the front lines there. You can see the battle go on by itself, again, just so I can talk about it. So it's an interesting free-to-play title. I think fans of the show will find this enticing, just the aspect of how it plays. You get more lore and context into the narrative of the overall show, which I know so many people are a fan of because, it's Game of Thrones, obviously, and I think they do a pretty good job doing this type of game, the turn-based action. There's like a bit of an edge of difficulty to it as well, and then different challenges, and a fair selection of modes that you can actually work through, which I think is a nice aspect to it. And it's a lot better than the other Game of Thrones kind of show that I've, seen game that I've seen in the past. So it's kind of nice to come back to this world, and I do like that that they've done with the castle, just having this like visual representation there, so that you can actually see, what this looks like. So here are like some of the in-game purchases. Keep in mind that this isn't Canadian. I like to show this off just so you get an idea of like costs and stuff like that, but it's mostly for items that are gonna like speed things up or give you extra bonuses such as characters and heroes and stuff like that. So that's what the elements are for microtransactions, because I do believe that is something that we should cover as we're playing. You obviously get rewards for checking in and playing and leveling up and everything, and they keep kind of giving you that as you play, and then you get the food and you can do so many plays of the campaign, and it doesn't really seem to be much of a bother in regards to slowing you down. But I mean, obviously as you get through the chapters, it'll be a little bit more difficult and take a little bit more time. But yeah, that is the experience Game of Thrones Beyond the Wall.